Hello, this is Charles Cook, Managing Partner, Cook Baxter Immigration. Good to be with you today. The purpose of today's video is to inform everybody about what last evening's proclamation or executive order by the president limiting and suspending for 60 days legal immigration to the United States actually means. It does not actually mean that all immigration to America is stopped. Again, a lot of what this president does is rhetoric, but at the same time, this particular executive order is extraordinarily damaging to lots of United States citizens and U.S. employers. Now, the reason the president gave for enacting this executive order was the high unemployment caused by the COVID-19 crisis. High unemployment that we don't even know will exist when the COVID crisis resolves itself. But as Winston Churchill said, never let a crisis go to waste. And so they quickly fell into action to try to get their signature issue pushed forward by executive order when it couldn't go through Congress. Does that sound remarkably familiar? I think somebody was complaining about that about 7 years ago, when President Obama created the DACA program when Congress wouldn't act. We'll put that aside for now. All right, what does this particular suspension of legal immigration, again, these people that waited in the line, what does it mean? Now, ignore the man behind the curtain who always said it was, oh, we love legal immigration. We love it. It's not about legal immigration. Let's wrap that up with a stinky fish head and throw that out the door. That particular slogan is now long gone. So here is who it actually affects and who it does not affect. Maybe perhaps we should start with who does it not affect. This proclamation has no impact whatsoever on anybody inside the United States today. None. So if you have a green card application, an adjustment of status pending with the Immigration Service, it continues. There's no effect whatsoever. You have a valid visa in the United States, no impact on you. You are sponsoring an employee, or you're an employee being sponsored in the United States, no impact on you. You're getting sponsored by your dad, your mom, your aunt, your uncle. No, if you're in the United States, no impact whatsoever. You have a visa in the United States. You're a visitor visa, you're a student visa, no impact whatsoever. If you're outside the United States and you were coming on vacation, or you had a visa to go to school, you had a student visa, no impact whatsoever. This particular proclamation only impacts people immigrating to the United States in one of the 10 or so categories of immigration. Now, it also does not impact spouses and children under the age of 21 of United States citizens. No impact. So if you are married to a handsome devil in the UK as a US citizen and you're in the process of immigrating them to America, your handsome spouse is still coming. Now, keep in mind this proclamation is suspending legal immigration for 60 days. Keep in mind the consulates are closed anyway. Many of them are likely to remain closed for, I don't know, 60 days or longer. So the actual practical effect of the order is minimal, but it's both the message that it sends and what happens when, not if, but when the president extends the order. Now, this was all unclear in his press conference last night because he has no idea what's in the executive order. So one, you have to be outside. This order affects those who are physically outside the United States at this time, who don't have an immigrant visa already in their hand. So there were a lot of people who were interviewed by consulates before the consulates closed, were given an immigrant visa, but couldn't get on an airplane to come. You can still come. They can still come. They're okay. Anybody who had an immigrant visa prior to today at midnight, they'll still come to the United States. This has literally no effect whatsoever. Anybody who is traveling outside the United States right now that has what's called an advanced parole or permission to come back, no problem. You have a valid visa as a visitor or a student or an H-1B worker or an L or an O or J. All of you, you're fine. You can come back to the United States without a problem. If you are a permanent resident, come on back. This order does not affect you. If you're immigrating because you're a doctor, a nurse, or a healthcare professional like a physical therapist, this order does not affect you. You keep immigrating to the United States. If you're immigrating to America because you invested $1 million, come on in. You can still come. Now, keep in mind, the vast majority of these EB-5 investors invested their money 2 to 3 years ago. So by not barring them from coming, I guess the theory is we're rewarding them for investing in America, and they're coming to create jobs in America. All right, there you go. Let's not mention the Kushner family being involved in the EB-5 program. I'm sure that's not relative. Spouses of U.S. citizens and children under 21, we already talked about. There are a couple of exceptions as well for people coming to the U.S. in any category as an immigrant that would further law enforcement objectives, whatever that means. Armed forces members who aren't citizens and their spouses, children, not affected. People entering the country under what's called the Special Immigrant Visa Program, they get to come in as well. Mostly these are translators from Iraq and Afghanistan, for example. And there's a big other loophole, which is anybody coming to the United States whose entry would be in the national interest. Undefined, of course. There is a category for immigration called national interest, but I doubt they'll interpret it the same way. So who is actually barred? Now that I've given this, long 7-minute list of who it's not covering, who is actually barred from coming for 60 days? 1, parents of United States citizens. That's right. Your mom and dad who have patiently waited to immigrate, that were going for their interview in June, they're not coming. Sorry, they're barred. No moms or dads. That upsets you. You should let us know, because we would love to talk to you about being a plaintiff as we sue on this particular piece of, let's call it illegal rulemaking by the president. Okay, moms and dads can't come. Brothers and sisters of U.S. citizens, they're barred. Children, whether married or unmarried, of U.S. citizens, barred from coming to the United States. Oh, let's not forget, spouses and children of permanent residents. Yes, people just like citizens, just haven't been sworn in yet. They are barred from coming to the United States. Kind of an equal protection problem there, but we'll get to that. So all these family members are barred from immigrating to the United States. Who else? Well, anybody immigrating for work is barred from coming to the United States. For example, if you're immigrating to America to be a parish priest, sorry, you can't come. You might be taking a job from an American, apparently. So priests can't come. Who else can't come? Oh, that person that you needed to run your restaurant, that new specialty cook that you're immigrating from Thailand, yeah, he can't come. He's barred. Maybe taking a job from a U.S. citizen, supposedly. Again, that's the rationale, which in many people's opinion is not a legal rationale for suspending the immigration system. That's the job for Congress to do. The president, again, is trying to create law, same way that he complained about Obama doing the same thing. But that is neither here nor there. What other types of employees can't come? People with extraordinary ability that our immigration services said, this person has extraordinary ability and we want them to come to America. You're not coming. People immigrating through a large corporation that are going to come and be the executive director of a new publicly traded company or a private company. No, sorry, you can't come as a multinational manager executive. Oh, you're immigrating as a researcher outside of COVID-19. Maybe you're curing, I don't know, AIDS or world hunger or the global crisis. Or you're coming to immigrate as a teacher to one of our wonderful universities. Sorry, you can't immigrate either during these 60 days. Oh, you have a master's degree in nuclear physics and you're designing some really, oh, sorry, you can't come either. That's who Trump is barring from coming through this order. He's barring mechanics. He's barring accountants. He's barring lawyers. He's barring field workers, people that are working in landscaping. They're immigrating to the United States based upon a determination by the Department of Labor that there are no qualified, willing, and able U.S. workers. That's who he's barring. IT professionals. They've been, for some cases, waiting for years to immigrate to America. Sorry, you can't come either. So you can see that this particular order does have some effect, at least for 60 days, and it will dramatically affect U.S. citizens, permanent residents, and U.S. employers. There's lots of reasons why this can be stopped in the courts. There's one reason why it might not be, and that is a decision by John Roberts in the Trump versus Hawaii case, in which he held that the section of law that the president is using here to issue this order, Section 212F of the Immigration and Nationality Act, doesn't really have a lot of limits on it, on what the president can do in the time of a national emergency. Now, nobody's talking about the fact that a lot of the national emergency is caused by the Trump administration's poor handling of the coronavirus crisis. Perhaps we wouldn't be in this situation if it had been properly handled. And some more cynical people have already suggested that perhaps this is why he poorly handled it, so he could reach his most important issue, which is limiting legal immigration to America. That's not something we'll speculate on here, however. At the end of the day, this will be challenged quickly in federal court. We will see how this actually works and how this moves forward. But we do know this. It will devastate families of U.S. citizens. It is also stopping the processing of green cards for people who are immigrating through our diversity lottery program. These are people that are under federal law are entitled to immigrate, who've been selected by our Department of State because of their diversity in the United States, along with the limitations on a number of employment-based immigrant visa categories. So we know this will have a dramatic and immediate impactful event in this process. Let's ask, we got a couple questions here. Actually, it's just Joseph. Joseph, he always wants me to speak in English, so here you go, Joseph. And Hermione, I already did this in Spanish. Go check the Facebook page and you'll see it there. El momento puedes ver la página en español, ya está todo hecho esto. So at the end of the day, what we have here is an executive order that appears to have a semi-valid basis, but will be challenged in federal court. I remain hopeful that we'll have plaintiffs step forward and say, I want to immigrate my spouse and kid. I want to immigrate my parents. I'm affected by this. The New York Attorney General has spoken forcefully about this, and it looks like that office is ready to move forward in federal court as well. If you have any questions, of course, you can always call us. This is our number. We're having free consults in April. We're happy to answer your questions. You can put comments below. We're happy to answer those as well. At the end of the day, we're all in this together. I'm going to be posting shortly a video of Ronald Reagan's farewell address that talked about the power of immigrants and the wonderful things that immigrants do for America. We appear to have forgotten that. We appear to have set aside what ourselves, our parents, our grandparents, our 5-time great-grandparents did as immigrants to America, even during the Great Depression. And the reality is we need immigrants because immigrants create jobs. The entire executive order is based upon a fallacy that immigrants take jobs from Americans. And that's simply not true. There isn't just a pie that's that big that never grows. Oh, they're taking my slice. That's not how any of this works. More people come, more jobs are created, and as we all know that immigrants are the driving force of entrepreneurship in the United States. Just take a look at Silicon Valley today as one prime example, and look around at your own community and see who is starting businesses there, and you'll see that a big chunk of them are new immigrants to America. It's our time to stand up and say, no farther. We are not going to sit by and let this happen. This also should wake you up and show you how important it is to vote and to not allow this type of deleterious conduct and in what many people say is harmful to America to happen. Thank you, everybody, for listening. If you ask any questions later, we'll answer them online. And we're happy to help you anytime here at Cook Baxter Immigration. Thank you.